last year's playoff win over the Cowboys.
Exact opposite.
Yeah, Brew, what happened to your Packers?
Well, contrary to popular opinion out in these streets, I was not the smartest man in the room on this one. Look, I'm going to keep it real. What am I? The ambassador
of impartiality.
And what are you again, Wild?
I am Mr. Continuity.
There you go. Okay.
The problem, look,
And the mayor.
credit to the Eagles. They are the better team this year, beat the Packers now twice, and deserve to win. I'm not taking anything from them.
Sure.
But if J-Lo is not, as Nick had, no!
This guy.
The Packers might win this game.
Oh, my.
Oh, no,
I mean, I guess
it was there.
If the interceptions were touchdowns,
No,
yes.
that's my point. Jordan Love was the weak link.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I'm not trying to take it from the Eagles because maybe they wouldn't have won. But that defense for Green Bay was stout.
Shoot.
I can't blame
Dan
them for
Orlovsky's telling us they were basically Legion of Doom back there. Nothing's on Jalen Hurts. Nobody was open. Yeah, I mean,
Right. I heard Orlovsky said, but no, I can't put the first TD on them. They only had to go 28 yards. That was the fumble. I mean, it went bad.
That was also,
from the
by the way, a bad call. I'm not letting the Packers off the hook. They recovered that fumble. I don't understand.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they would have lost anyway because they weren't ready to play, but that was a bad call.
But the defense, after that, I mean, for the next 3 quarters or so, the defense was great. Josh Jacobs was an absolute monster. All right, so if they just, and it wasn't just the interceptions. The interceptions were bad, obviously. But they just had no rhythm. They weren't moving. And if he had been solid, then they would have had a chance to win this game. And he wasn't. I think ultimately it would be good for him. I don't know if he got full of himself. He had a great second half last year. Great in the playoffs, got the $220 million contract. Maybe he starts thinking, I've arrived. This should get him back in the lab. But J-No yesterday was the Packers' biggest problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the turnovers, penalties, injuries, essentially. When you look at this game, Jordan Love, as you're mentioning, was a part of those turnovers. After that opening fumble, you as a quarterback, you got to take it on. You got to take the pressure on you and start to make plays immediately and be efficient. That first possession that they finally get, they go 3 and out. Then you, on your second possession, on the first play, you lose your best offensive lineman. Now you're getting all these holding penalties on your third possession. Jordan Love throws the interception, and it just spiraled out of control. And he never settled them offensively. It was as if Josh Jacobs was trying to, but Jordan Love was fighting him. And when you have had the success that he's had last year leading into the postseason and then the postseason run that he did have, and it ended the way that it did, this year I was always questioning, and I put him on the bud list a couple times, questioning whether he could be consistently disciplined. And I know we were excited about some of the games that he had later on in the season against Seattle. And did you see Jordan Love? Did you see the Green Bay Packers? But there was always something about Jordan Love throwing errant passes. Same what we saw in that game. He is a concern moving forward. I think he is the answer.
Yeah.
But he's definitely he has to reel it in and become more disciplined, more mature with the football.
That's right. And so first of all, props to Greg. Greg's the only person at the table whose NFC Super Bowl pick's still alive. Me, Wilds, and Brew all whiffed of exact equal way. 0 playoff.
Not equal.
All the same. It's all the same. We all have 0 playoff wins. Greg's still alive. We all basically exact tie there. Listen, Jordan Love didn't throw for 230 yards in a game after Thanksgiving. Did that against the Dolphins on Thanksgiving, and that was it. And listen, the reason Brew's heart was never in this pick once the year got going was because they never could play with the big boys. Yeah. They had 6 chances to beat the 3 best teams in the conference.
Not great.
They were over 6, and he was bad. And by the way, the only reason he has that many touchdowns is because once they were down 28-0 against Vikings.
Exactly.
Vikings.
Yeah.
He had I think 4 touchdowns. And so
know what I think? Let me say this though, Nick. This year was a disaster from him from the get-go.
He got hurt.
He got hurt.
Yeah.
comes back, and then gets banged up a couple more times. It's just a bad year all the way around.
Which
for
happens.
him
And I would almost call it like a sophomore slump. I know it's actually like year 5, but you know what I mean? It's his second year starting, and so I'm not going to – that happens. But this was – this is another reason why, and I know last year's game against the Cowboys was fun, and it applied to the Buffalo game too. We really don't need the 7th playoff team. The Eagles and the Bills should have both had byes. There should have been a better race, there should be a good team that misses the playoffs rather than a bad team like the Bengals crying for not making it. And then, because these 7 seeds are now 1-9 and only.
Okay, well, we don't need to talk about the. I almost see it backwards. I almost say have the first 2 seeds get a bye, then bring in another playoff team because playoffs are awesome, man. Playoffs are awesome. Give us more playoff games, But okay. Yes, Jordan Love obviously has to play better, but listen, this was his 2nd year as a starter, and I do think that this season was just, it's hard. He doesn't have the deep level of experience to rely on, to fall back on when you get injured week 1. You now have to recover. You're not able to practice. You get back into the lineup. You get banged up again. The Packers team itself dealt with a lot of injuries. And really, Jordan Love is getting a lot of blame here. And the 1 interception was not really, that was like an end of the game interception, so it didn't really matter. So I really kind of give it 2 interceptions. But again, by no means, even if you take that away, it's not like, well, he was 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, so it was actually not that bad. But, he obviously didn't play great. But here's the way I see it, though, because I do actually put a lot on Matt LaFleur, unless Jordan Love is just like incapable. But, I find that kind of hard to believe. But look at how the Eagles managed that game. This is honestly my favorite take, and I'm glad I came up with it. Not, I don't mean like me personally coming up with that. I just mean like I'm glad it came to my mind, because everyone kind of ripped Jalen Hurts. Said, "Oh, you didn't play that good. You didn't play good." And whether you want to give credit to the Packers defense, doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. It's just that Jalen Hurts had a very quiet, conservative. I put my notes somewhere else right now, but I think he was like 13 for 21, like 130 some yards, whatever it was obviously not this like amazing box office, AJ Brown, Devontae, wasn't name up in lights, let's go, this is me, I'm 11, I'm 6, here we go. It wasn't that type of game. It was very conservative, short, quick passes, relying on Saquon Barkley, relying on the defense, Dallas Goedert. Like, it was just very, very basic, almost like a game that like any quarterback could play. And it was smart. It was intentional. It was clearly what Philly wanted to do. Jalen Hurts took the game as given to him and took the game plan as given him, and they were able to win 22-10. And the Green Bay Packers could have had an incredibly similar game plan, but instead they just keep doing this boom or bust. Like, there was no reason for Jordan Love to launch the ball down the field and get that interception from Slay. Like, there was no reason. And maybe that's more on Jordan Love to actually let it rip, and less on Matt LaFleur. But I kind of see it opposite. Matt LaFleur is like, don't call that play. Or if you do call that play, you let Jordan Love know, unless he is wide open, unless he really breaks free, do not throw that ball. Do not throw that ball to him. Work the ball to, number 2, number 3, whatever. Like that's what's got to be said to him in that moment. And again, I obviously don't know their conversations, and that's why I'm not like going all in on blaming, Jordan Love or Matt LaFleur. Because again, I think Matt LaFleur is awesome. I really, really do. I think he's a top coach in the NFL. But just like my gut, when I just first watched this game, and I'm not piling over the all 22 and all of that. That's not my expertise. But it's just like when I watch it, I'm just kind of like, and this is how it's been the last few weeks, the last few games. I'm like, what was the game plan? Where was the intensity? We saw how the Washington Commanders came out the gate of that game. Every single player believed that they could win and would win that game against the Buccaneers on the road against Tampa Bay. The Packers had no energy, no fight, no conviction in their game. And they hadn't for weeks, for games, not against the Lions, not against the Vikings, not against the Bears. They just didn't. And I'd been calling that out. it was like, they don't seem ready. And that does fall on Matt LaFleur at that point. Because I'm like, why is no one ready for this? And this game should have been like, Jordan, we are calling a very tight, conservative game. We are relying on this run game big time. The passes that you're throwing, we're going to get you comfortable. We're going to get you in rhythm. 4-yard pass, 5-yard pass, 1-yard pass. I don't care. You know, I'm going to call a couple Andy Reid style plays where you call hike and you throw the ball right away. Boom, Travis Kelce. I mean, there's so many times that Patrick Mahomes calls hike and then just throws it right away. 4 yards down and boom. And it's 4-yard gain. Good enough. Bunch of bubble screens. And like, I just wasn't seeing that. Again, the big throw from Jordan Love is like 50 yards down the field. And it's like, why? The game is still within reach. Like, why are you throwing this 50-50 ball against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a great defense? And you only have so many weapons to work with. Everyone keeps getting injured. It's not that hard to figure out where the ball's going at that point. It just didn't make sense to me. And then it just like, the injuries definitely pile up. The penalties pile up. And it just all snowballs. And so that's why, you know, again, Jordan Love was not the answer against the Eagles on Sunday. And he was a problem, but not the problem. And again, my gut tells me that I just feel as though that they needed to be put in a better position to succeed. And again, my evidence for that is look no further than what the Philadelphia Eagles did with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia, you know, and how they beat the Packers. I really encourage Packers fans to just watch the abbreviated like 14-minute highlights. I assume they're on YouTube. You know, however many minutes long it is, and just watch the Eagles offense. Look what they did. It was just run, easy passes, you know, a couple easy runs from Jalen Hurts. Like it was very basic. It was very basic and very conservative. And Jalen Hurts never put the ball in harm's way, and it was smart. And they took a shot in a way that was like, you know, either AJ is going to catch it or no one catches it. And it was smart. It was smart football. And the Green Bay Packers absolutely positively could have just copy and pasted that game plan. Could have copy and pasted it. Because the Philadelphia Eagles did not rely on the eliteness of Devontae and AJ. Dallas Goedert really only had that one big special play, but they didn't rely on that to get them through. So even though the Packers had their injuries, well, the Eagles were able to win without utilizing their really special players. They utilized Saquon Barkley more than anything. And that O-line. And that defense. And the Green Bay Packers could have utilized that defense, the run game. I mean, even Jordan Love was using his legs finally at times. And you're like, there you go. Let's do this. Just move the chains. Keep possession. You know? Like, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that sometimes. It really doesn't. And against the Cowboys, yeah, they had a really wildly creative, aggressive, assertive, awesome game plan. And they had the ability to do that against the Dallas Cowboys. They did not. That's not how this game went from the jump for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was almost like in the beginning, they were like, well, we're going to try to do that. And it's like, no, that's not what the game is giving you. That's not what this team, both the Packers themselves, the roster itself, and the Eagles are not giving you. The Cowboys gave it to you, and the Packers roster last year gave that to you. Right? The game dictated that, and the players dictated the game plan. We were ready to do that. Let's go. That's not this year. So stop trying to repeat that. Stop trying to copy and paste that game plan, that approach. That's not how you were going to win this year. And there just wasn't enough of that, you know, adaptability. But that's just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers? Who do you think's, you know, at blame? What went wrong for the Packers? Besides, of course, injuries and things of that nature, because that is a legitimate thing as well. That can't be understated. But this team, even when they were healthy, was clearly not playing as great as I even thought that they would be. So, but let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.